There is a book in Scripture that theologians have wrestled with for thousands of years, not because it is confusing, but because it is deeply, uncomfortably honest about suffering, about righteousness, about what God allows. The Book of Job. And before you can understand what happens to Job, you have to understand who Job was. Scripture does not introduce Job the way it introduces most biblical figures. There is no genealogy, no backstory, no slow build. The very first verse cuts straight to the point. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was blameless and upright, one who feared God and turned away from evil. That is not a casual description. In Scripture, blameless does not mean sinless. It means whole, complete, a man of total integrity, a man whose outer life and inner life were the same thing. What you saw was what he was. And God did not just allow others to say this about Job. God said it himself. There is no one on earth like him. Those are God's words, not Job's friends, not the narrator, God. And Job's life reflected it. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters, thousands of sheep, camels, oxen, and donkeys. He was the greatest man among all the people of the East. And every morning, without fail, Job would rise early and offer sacrifices to God on behalf of each of his children. Not because he had to, because he feared God even on their behalf. This was not a man who followed God when it was convenient. This was not a man who prayed when things got hard. This was a man whose entire life was oriented around the fear of God. Every single day. And then one day, in the courts of heaven, everything changed. Scripture pulls back the curtain on something most people never get to see. A conversation that took place not on earth, but in heaven. The sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and among them came Satan. This is the first thing that should stop you. Satan had access to the throne room of God. He was not yet cast out. He was not yet confined. He was still moving, still watching, still looking for something to devour. And God spoke to him. The Lord said to Satan, "Where have you come from?" And Satan answered, "From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it." He was not hiding. He was not ashamed. He was hunting. And then God said something that should unsettle every person who reads it. He did not wait for Satan to bring up Job. He did not respond to an accusation. God spoke first. "Have you considered my servant Job?" Read that again. God initiated it. The most righteous man on earth. And God pointed him out to the enemy. There is no easy way to sit with that. God continued, "There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil." And Satan answered, "Does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not put a hedge around him and his household? everything he has. You have blessed the work of his hands. But stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face. This was Satan's argument. Job only fears God because God has protected him. Take away the blessing, and the worship disappears with it. It was a direct accusation against the integrity of Job, but it was also something deeper than that. It was an accusation against God, against the idea that any human being could love God for who he is, rather than what he gives. And God accepted the challenge. Very well then, everything he has is in your power. Only do not lay a finger on the man himself. And with those words, Satan left the presence of God. And Job, still rising early every morning to pray, had no idea what was coming. What happens next unfolds in a single day. Not over weeks, not gradually. One day. Job woke up that morning the same way he woke up every morning. The greatest man among all the people of the East. Blameless, upright, protected. He had no warning, no dream, no sign. Just an ordinary morning that would become the worst day of his life. The first messenger arrived while Job's sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine together. He was barely finished speaking when the second messenger arrived. And the second was barely finished when the third arrived. And the third was barely finished when the fourth arrived. 4 messengers, 4 disasters, back to back to back to back. The first messenger said, "The oxen were ploughing and the donkeys were grazing nearby, and the Sabaeans attacked and made off with them. They put the servants to the sword. I am the only one who has escaped to tell you." While he was still speaking, the second messenger arrived. The fire of God fell from the heavens. It burned up the sheep and the servants. I am the only one who has escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, the third messenger arrived. The Chaldeans formed 3 raiding parties. They swept down on the camels and made off with them. They put the servants to the sword. I am the only one who has escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, the 4th messenger arrived. Your sons and daughters were feasting and drinking wine at the oldest brother's house. Suddenly, a mighty wind swept in from the desert. It struck the 4 corners of the house. It collapsed on them, and they are dead. All of them. Every single one of his children. Gone. In the same moment, on the same day. Job had walked into that morning with 10 children. He ended it with none. And then Scripture records something that is almost impossible to believe. At this, Job got up and tore his robe and shaved his head. Then he fell to the ground in worship, not in rage, not in denial, in worship. And he said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I shall depart. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." In all of this, Job did not sin. He did not charge God with wrongdoing. He worshipped. But Satan was not finished. He returned to the throne room of God, and God said to him again, "Have you considered my servant Job? He still holds fast to his integrity. Although you incited me against him, to ruin him without any reason." And Satan answered, "Skin for skin. A man will give all he has for his own life. But stretch out your hand and strike his flesh and his bones, and he will surely curse you to your face." And God said, "Very well then, he is in your hands, but you must spare his life." And Satan went out from the presence of God and afflicted Job with painful sores from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. Job took a piece of broken pottery and scraped himself with it as he sat among the ashes. The greatest man among all the people of the East, reduced to sitting in a pile of ash, scraping his own skin, alone. And he had done nothing wrong. Not one thing. When Job's 3 friends heard about all the evil that had come upon him, they left their homes and travelled to be with him. Eliphaz, Bildad, Zophar, 3 men who loved Job, 3 men who came with good intentions. And when they saw him from a distance, they did not recognize him. The man they had known, the greatest man among all the people of the East, was unrecognizable, and they wept. They tore their robes, they sprinkled dust on their heads toward heaven, and then they sat down on the ground with him. For 7 days and 7 nights, no one said a word, because they saw that his suffering was too great for words. 7 days of silence. 7 days of sitting in the ashes with their friend. And for 7 days, that was exactly right. It was what came after the silence that became the problem. After 7 days, Job opened his mouth, and he cursed the day of his birth. "May the day of my birth perish. May the night that said a boy is conceived be darkness. Why did I not perish at birth? Why did I not die as I came from the womb?" This was not a man who had lost his faith. This was a man in the rawest, most honest agony imaginable, crying out to the only one he had ever trusted. and his friends could not handle it. Eliphaz spoke first. "Think how you have instructed many, how you have strengthened feeble hands. But now trouble comes to you, and you are discouraged. Should not your piety be your confidence? Consider now, who, being innocent, has ever perished? As I have observed, those who plough evil and those who sow trouble reap it." There it was, the oldest and most damaging lie ever told to a suffering person. You must have done something wrong. You are suffering because you deserve it. Bildad agreed. When your children sinned against him, he gave them over to the penalty of their sin. He was saying Job's children died because of their own sin. To a father sitting in ashes, having just buried all 10 of his children. Zophar was the harshest of all. Know this, God has even forgotten some of your sin. He was telling Job, you are actually getting less than you deserve. 3 friends, 3 men who came to comfort, and every word out of their mouths made it worse. But Job refused to accept it. Will you speak wickedly on God's behalf? Will you speak deceitfully for him? Will you show him partiality? Will you argue the case for God? Job was not cursing God. He was not walking away. He was doing something far more raw and far more real. He was demanding an audience. I desire to speak to the Almighty. I want to argue my case with God. Even if he slays me, I will hope in him. I will still defend my ways to his face. This was not a man who had given up on God. This was a man who trusted God enough to be furiously honest with him. And somewhere in the whirlwind, God was listening to every word. For 37 chapters, Job has been waiting for an answer. His friends have spoken. Job has spoken. Argument after argument, accusation after accusation. 37 chapters of human reasoning, trying to make sense of something that refuses to be made sense of. And then the Lord spoke to Job out of the storm. Not in a still small voice, not in a dream, out of a whirlwind. God showed up in a storm, and what he said was not what anyone expected. There was no apology, no explanation, no list of reasons, no defense of his actions. What God said instead was a series of questions. Question after question after question. 40 of them. And not one of them had an answer. God said, "Who is this that obscures my plans with words without knowledge? Brace yourself like a man. I will question you, and you shall answer me." And then God began. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me if you understand. Who marked off its dimensions? Who stretched a measuring line across it? On what were its footings set? Or who laid its cornerstone while the morning stars sang together and all the angels shouted for joy? Have you ever given orders to the morning? Have you comprehended the vast expanses of the earth? Tell me if you know all this. Have you entered the storehouses of the snow? Have you seen the storehouses of the hail, which I reserve for times of trouble? Can you bind the chains of the Pleiades? Can you loosen Orion's belt? Can you bring forth the constellations in their seasons? Do you know the laws of the heavens? Can you set up their dominion over the earth? Who gives the ibis wisdom, or gives the rooster understanding? Who has the wisdom to count the clouds? Who can tip over the water jars of the heavens? Do you hunt the prey for the lioness? Do you know when the mountain goats give birth? Who let the wild donkey go free? Who gave the horse its strength? Does the hawk take flight by your wisdom? Does the eagle soar at your command? Question after question, each one landing like a hammer, each one pulling Job further and further from the center of his own suffering and into the vastness of something he could not comprehend. This was not God being cruel. This was not God dismissing Job's pain. This was God doing something far more profound. He was reorienting Job, pulling him out of the smallness of his own story and placing him inside a universe so vast, so ancient, so intricately governed that the question of why suddenly looked different, not smaller, not less painful, but different. And Job heard it, all of it, and something in him broke open. Not in defeat, not in bitterness, in awe. Job answered the Lord and said, I know that you can do all things. No purpose of yours can be thwarted. You asked, who is this that obscures my plans without knowledge? Surely I spoke of things I did not understand, things too wonderful for me to know. My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you. 37 chapters of argument, 37 chapters of demanding an explanation. And in the end, it was not an answer that silenced Job. It was the presence of God Himself. And that was enough. After God finished speaking from the whirlwind, He turned to Job's 3 friends, and what He said to them should make every person who has ever tried to explain someone else's suffering deeply uncomfortable. God said to Eliphaz, I am angry with you and your 2 friends, because you have not spoken the truth about me, as my servant Job has. Read that carefully. God was not angry with Job for his raw honesty. He was not angry with Job for demanding answers. He was not angry with Job for crying out in anguish. He was angry with the friends who sat in comfort and told a suffering man what he deserved, who tried to defend God with lies, who mistook theological correctness for spiritual wisdom. And then God said something remarkable. He told the three friends, "Go to my servant Job and sacrifice burnt offerings for yourselves. My servant Job will pray for you, and I will accept his prayer." The man who had just lost everything, the man who had spent 37 chapters demanding answers from God, was now the intercessor, was now the one whose prayers God would hear. Job prayed for his friends, the men who had accused him, the men who had told him his children died because of sin. Job prayed for them, and after Job had prayed for his friends, the Lord restored his fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before. His brothers and sisters came to him. All who had known him before came and ate with him. They comforted him over all the trouble the Lord had brought on him, and each one gave him a piece of silver and a gold ring. The Lord blessed the latter part of Job's life more than the former part. He had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, 1,000 donkeys, and 7 sons, and 3 daughters. And Job lived 140 years after this. He saw his children and their children to the 4th generation. And he died, old and full of years. But here is what you cannot miss. The restoration is not the point. The point is not that if you suffer long enough, God will give you back twice what you lost. That is not the lesson of Job, because God never gave Job back his first 10 children. He gave him 10 more, but the first 10 were still gone. The suffering was still real. The loss was still real. What changed was Job, the man who entered the whirlwind demanding answers, came out the other side having encountered something no answer could ever provide. The living God. Not a theology, not an explanation, not a reason. God Himself. And this is what the book of Job says to every person who has ever suffered without reason. Every person who has ever prayed and heard nothing. Every person who has ever done everything right and watched everything fall apart anyway. It does not say your suffering makes sense. It does not say you will understand it one day. It does not even promise that everything will be restored. What it says is that the God who governs the constellations, who laid the foundations of the earth, who stores the snow and commands the morning. That God sees you. He knows your name. He has considered you, and He is not absent from your suffering. He is present in it. Job never got his why, but he got something infinitely greater. He got the presence of the God who holds the why. And in the end, that was enough. That has always been